It is true what they say. Woden has never left. He simply wanders off from time to time, but always returns, just as Carl Gustav Jung wrote in his 1936 article Woden. All these stories that have survived to relatively modern times seem to confirm that. Some have survived in almost original forms, others in changed, shortened forms adjusted to new times and circumstances, but all of them are meant to teach us something, to transfer the old knowledge to the new generations. They tell us who and what Woden was to our ancestors, how they perceived him. One such story comes from Mecklenburg, Germany, again noted by Herr Jakob Grimm. Throughout the story, we are reminded of everything Woden is. We feel Woden's power radiating from every word he utters, and in the end we witness his strong sense of integrity. It is our belief traces are visible of this story stemming from an older ritual, but more on that at the end of the video. And we learn yet another of Woden's names, Vod, his proprium pluma, if you will, or, as you will certainly recall, the All-Father himself said that he had never been known among the men by only one name. Indeed, the All-Father has many names. Anyway, the story goes like this. They say in these parts that often of a dark night the airy hounds will bark on open heaths, in thickets, at crossroads. The countryman well knows their leader, and pities the wayfarer that has not reached his home yet. For their leader is often spiteful, they say, seldom merciful. It is only those who keep in the middle of the road that the rough hunter will do nothing to. That is why he calls out to travelers, midden in den weg, midden in den weg, of which the rough translation would be keep in the middle of the road, keep in the middle of the road. There's a story people still tell of a slightly drunk peasant who was one windy night coming home from town, and his road led him through a forest. There he heard something, the uproar of the hounds and the shout of the huntsman up in the air. Cried the voice, but the man, being slightly drunk, seemed to take no real notice. Suddenly, out of the clouds, there plunges down right before him a tall man on a white horse.
"Art thou strong?"
says he.
"Get hold of this chain. Shall see you the hardest."
After the initial shock, the peasant courageously grasped the heavy chain and up threw the wild hunter into the air. The man quickly wound the chain round an oak that was near, and the hunter tugged in vain.
"Thou hast surely wound the chain round the oak,"
said Woden, coming down. "No," replied the peasant who had hastily loosed it. "Look, I'm holding it in my hands."
"Then thou shalt leap high up in the clouds,"
cried the hunter, again mounting. In a hurry, the man fastened the chain round the oak again, and Woden was as unsuccessful as before.
"Thou must have fastened the chains round the oak,"
said Woden, again descending. "No," answered the peasant, who had deftly disengaged it. "Here, I've got it in my hands."
"If thou wert heavier than lead, thou must up into the clouds round the oak with steady."
He rushed up as quick as lightning, but the peasant managed as before. The dogs yelled, the wagons rumbled, and the horses neighed overhead. The oak crackled at the roots and seemed to turn. The man's heart began to sink, but no, the oak stood its ground.
"Thou hast proved capitally,"
said the hunter.
"Many's the men have made me mine. Thou art the first that ever held out against me I shall."
Aloud was the uproar of the hunt. "Hallo, hola, vol, vol." The peasant now tried to sneak away, when from unseen heights a deer fell dying at his feet, and there stood Woden, who, springing from his white horse, cut up the
"Thou
game.
shalt have some worth than a horns to lose."
"Sir," quoth the peasant, "thy servant has neither pot nor pail."
"Take thy boot off,"
cried Woden. The man did so.
"Now walk with blood and flesh to wife and child."
At first terror lightened the load, but presently grew heavier and heavier, and he had hardly strength to carry it. With his back bent double and bathed in sweat, he at length reached his cottage. And behold, the boot was filled with gold, and the haunch was a leather pouch full of silver. Far away from that place, in the darkest night, another man was returning home when he heard, And so, in this interesting old tale, you can find several distinct characteristics of the old faith. Woden, or Woden, clearly had fun interacting with the peasant, but not to mock him or degrade him, rather to test him and see his reaction under pressure. We all know that Woden is collecting, to use that term, brave and capable warriors for Valhalla, for Ragnarok, and in the end, Woden rewarded him, since the peasant proved himself to be a rather resourceful person. You will agree with that. As we have mentioned at the beginning of the video, there is an echo, we believe, of an older ritual, shortened to fit the story and times. Now walk with blood and flesh to wife and child. This might be but a very short sentence, a statement, or a part of some older magical phrase. Now, if you compare it to the well-known second Merseburg charm, you will see that it contains a very similar in form magical phrase spoken by Woden, or as he is called here, Woden, in a role of a healer, healing the leg of a false horse. Benzi bena, blodzi bloda, lidzi geliden, sosse gelimidasin, or translated, bone to bone, blood to blood, joints to joints, so may they be glued. But we can still go even further. We believe the entire story of the Wild Hunt is an echo, a remnant of an old testing ritual for young men about to become warriors. In Germanic tradition, such rituals were in connection with the so-called Männerbünde, or bands of armed, mostly young men, which is again the ancient Indo-European tradition of Koryos, usually associated with darkness, chthonic forces, hunting and being tested by fighting at night. In Germanic tradition, an entire such tribe or sub-tribe existed by the name of Hari, the ferocious night fighters. If you would like to know more about Hari, you can check out the link at the upper right corner. There's another part worth noticing. Dogs yelled, wagons rumbled. Vinguriks of the old heathen Goths drove an image of a goddess throughout Gothic lands in Crimea to see who the true believers are and who the Christians are. It was a custom among all the Germanic tribes to place an image of a deity in a wagon and make a procession, where people of the same nation would worship the deity in question. Tacitus in his Germania describes the wagon procession in honor of goddess Neartus, goddess Earth. Thus, as you can see, all these short stories that have survived always as a rule contain multitude of information about the old times, like a window looking directly into the past.